What's up, everyone? My name is Reagan Kathryn, and today I am joined by my friend Devyn Lehrman, who is a game developer and programmer. He has worked on a bunch of really fun games, one like Greedy Goblin and one that uses breath control to move around the characters, which I am so excited about. They just started working on their master's degree in programming, and so today they are here to kind of bring us through the different assets in the Unity Fantasy Bundle by Humble Bundle. So Devyn, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am so excited.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. You know, there's so many cool things in this bundle, and normally I don't have asset packs with me, so like getting to open these up and look at all the cool things inside them and have these options for myself for use in the future, it's all super cool, and I was really happy to put this together and try to make something really cool with 2 demo scenes for you guys that people can really enjoy.
I am so excited. Okay, so just really quick, for those of you guys who are interested in grabbing the Unity Fantasy Bundle, it is now available through the end of September 2021. So if you want to grab it, we're gonna put a link below in the description, so make sure to check it out. There's also another bundle, the Unity shooter FPS bundle, which is really cool as well, so we'll throw a link to that one too. Today we're just gonna go over some of the stuff in the fantasy pack, but no, there's a bunch of really cool stuff. So we've asked Devyn to show us his personal favorite one, so let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, but first things first. So for someone who has no idea, who has never heard or done anything in game development or the game world, can you give us just a quick, brief description of what Unity is?
Yeah, for sure. So Unity is a game engine, and that basically means that it's a really easy place for you to take a bunch of assets like 3D models, textures, sprites, code, sounds, among other things, and put them together, manage them in one place, make a game with them, test the game with them, and make the game playable on a bunch of devices. So even if you were to make a game in Unity on your computer, you could port that to console, you could port that to mobile devices, you could port that to the web browser. So the game engine is this really cool tool that makes a lot of the work into building a game really easy. And if you didn't have the game engine, then you'd have to make one effectively. And that takes a lot of programming knowledge and a lot of time that you'd be spending not actually making the game.
Okay, so let's get into what you can actually do in the bundle. I know that you've set up 2 different scenes for us using the assets available in the Unity bundle. So let's just go ahead and start with the first one.
Yeah, for sure. So in this first scene, I made a project in Unity using Unity's standard render pipeline, and I've pulled some of the assets from the bundle which work well with the standard render pipeline. So in this scene, I'm going to be showing off the brute force grass shader, I'm going to be showing off the fantasy adventure environment asset package, and I'm also going to be showing off, well, kind of showing off how I used Octave 3D to place all of the assets in this scene.
Okay, so that's already a lot, which I'm really excited to see, but can we start, for just me who knows nothing about Unity, can we start with what a standard render pipeline is?
Okay, yeah, sure. So the render pipelines in Unity are different approaches to how you want to implement graphics into your game. And each render pipeline has different parts to it, some things that they do have, some things that they don't have. So for example, the HD render pipeline has ray tracing graphics, and the HD render pipeline and universal pipeline have shader graphs. So we're just using the standard render pipeline. Unity's built-in like main, it has the most work time put into it, and it has a lot of base features for graphics rendering. So the first thing that I did was I went and used Unity's built-in terrain editor. And so the terrain editor, you get like a flat plane, and you can just put it in your Unity scene. And imagine like a piece of paper, right? You can like pick the piece of paper up at the center, and like the paper will bend around where you picked it up. So you can like move parts of this flat plane, lift them up, and that's how we have this set of hilly, grassy areas in this scene.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you did all of the grass and all of the terrain using the shader from the bundle. So how does it work exactly?
I think when people get into Unity and they start looking at assets in general, shaders come up as something that are kind of intimidating. But what they really just are is a shader is a way to tell the computer or to tell the Unity engine, for example, how to draw pictures, how to say, like, if we have a square, these points are in this place in space, and if the square is this color, then this is what we do to it. And you can add all sorts of variables to it to change it. So what the brute force grass shader does is you can apply it to just a solid object, or you can apply it to a Unity terrain. And what it'll do is it will match the contours, the shape of that object. And you can tell it, I want my grass to be this tall. I want my grass to be this thin. I want to make my grass have patches here. I want to have some dirt here. You can do all of this with the grass shader. And you can add effects to it, like wind. You can see that the grass is blowing right now. You can change how it blows.
What? That's so cool. So the shader even does the movement of the grass. So it's not...
Yeah.
I guess how I was thinking of it originally was just it's like kind of like a paintbrush, and you put it on there and then it doesn't move. So then it's really telling like each individual one. That's crazy.
All of the non-grass stuff that you see here is from the Fantasy Adventure Environment bundle. So let me go into the maximize view here. So like the rocks here, the lily pads, all of these trees, this tree, all this stuff, the flowers here, all of this stuff, I place from the Fantasy Adventure Environment bundle.
That's crazy. You've made like, it's this little, like, I want to call it like a princess meadow, because that's what I want to like tumble around in it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know that, so you're a programmer typically.
Yeah,
so,
I don't do art usually.
So you normally don't do art. So the fact that you made this in like, what, not even a week is pretty
so
impressive.
This particular scene was like a couple hours spread over 2 days each.
Oh my gosh, that's even less time. I was like a week, and you're like 3 hours. Oh man, okay, and then, so all of those things that you grab from the middle. So how do you go about just taking it from bundle, full file, and putting it into the scene?
So Unity makes that really easy. You can just, they teach you how to do it. You go to the package manager and you download your packages once they're tied into your Unity account. And so typically, if you didn't have Octave, which Octave is in the bundle, but if you didn't have Octave, you have these assets, you go to the prefabs, you're like, okay, I want to put a tree down. So let's put a tree in the scene, right? I can put a little birch tree here. And then I want to make the tree a little bigger. So I can scale up its Y, I can scale up its X and Z so that it looks a little more natural. And it's like, okay, well, it's on a hill though, so maybe we want to rotate it a little bit so it looks different. And that's cool, and we can turn it a bit. But that takes a long time. That was like, what, 30 button presses that I just did? So instead we have Octave, which is in the bundle as well.
Okay.
And that's how I placed everything in this scene, and I'm actually going to use Octave in future projects, absolutely, because it made putting all the stuff down really easy. So I have an object in the scene, that's the little Octave object, and you can see here I have the rocks already set up in the thing. So I can change between the rocks, and you can see what Octave is doing is it's saying, okay, this looks like a surface. And you have your mouse hovering over it, and you can just click, and you can place things. And then you can use the hotkey commands to change the rock, and you can use it to change the rotation, you can use it to change the size, like all sorts of stuff. So if you don't like the way that it automatically is placing it, you're just 2 button presses away from being able to change all sorts of other things.
I'm literally just sitting here with my mouth open, and I'm like, wait a second, Reagan, you need to close it.
And there are even features that I didn't explore with this, like block building, like snapping things together, and snapping things to other objects. So like you could make rock formations with this really easily using the Fantasy Environment assets and the Octave package. And so all you need to do when you're using this is you just take the folder where you have the, they're called prefabs, of like the rocks or the trees or whatever, and you just drag it into the Octave thing, and you drop it, and it's done.
I'm just sitting here mesmerized by the grass blowing.
Let's just say, for example, you're like, okay, but this looks so good. How do I get to this?
Yeah.
Like, I open Unity, I've got the assets downloaded. What do I do? Okay, well, let's start by making a scene. I'm just kind of call this scene, like, live demo. And we're going to go into it. And so it's just totally empty. You don't have anything in here. So the first thing that I would do, if you want to do the same kind of scene that I did, is I'm going to go on to the hierarchy. This is where you have all of the items that are in your scene. And I'm going to create terrain. And so you see we have this plane here. We have this huge plane. It's probably a lot more than we need, but we're just going to go with it for now. You click on the terrain, and I'm going to go into the settings, actually make it smaller. So it'll be 100 by 100. And we're going to zoom on into that. And you can go to the terrain brush, and we're going to raise or lower the terrain. And that's how you'd start making the terrain. So we can lower the opacity a bit more, use a transparent brush for some easing, and now we're starting to build little mountains.
Like little mountains! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and so you can use the preset brushes, or you can use an art program of your choice to put in textured brushes of your own, experiment with them, see what you like. And then, like, so let's say I like this, but now I want to get to doing the grass already. So that's something that I show off in the video recording, is I smoothed the terrain out before I put the grass on it because I thought that it looked better. So then we can add a material to this. So in the terrain settings, you select the material that you're looking for, and there's a terrain with the pack. I have a terrain that I duplicated, so I'm going to use this. This is the terrain that I was using in the other scene with only settings changes. I duplicated it from the terrain that they show off in one of the brute force demo scenes. And then what I can do is I can start changing some of the settings in here. And look at that.
It just paints on!
Yep,
What?
that's it. That's all you gotta do. And so you can use the documentation to figure out how to just like do different things, or like how to change your grass. There's specific ways to have ground as opposed to terrain, ground as opposed to grass, grass too as opposed to other grass. Like we can add another grass layer here with this type instead. You see how these little black and white pictures are different?
Yeah.
So now we can paint on different grass. Now this grass, with this particular terrain, is super short.
Yeah.
So like if we had more volume on this terrain, I'm pretty sure that would change the appearance of it. It's something that you have to experiment a lot with.
Yeah, you gotta see what's in there and which ones you like the best. It's like
Yeah.
fuzzy grass versus blow in the wind grass.
Yeah, and so there's tons of settings that you could change with the grass too. So like we drop down the shader here, and it's like, well, I want the grass to be a bit of a different color. So how about
we make it pink?
We could.
Oh my gosh!
Let's make the grass pink. And so we have this setting, and then we'll have to change some more settings to really get the pink to come out.
That's crazy. You can have like beautiful fall colors. You can have magical Fantasyland grass.
Yeah.
What is that? I'm asking you to make Candyland grass right now for me.
Pretty much. And yeah, the more settings you mess with, the more that you can get to pink grass, for example. We can increase the shading. We can reduce the saturation a little bit. You can do all sorts of things to change the grass up here. Yeah, and so the more that you add some texture to the terrain, you can have all sorts of effects. Like we have more subtle grass here. We have more sharp offset grass here, like you could see on an alien planet, for example. You've got all sorts of options.
This is Reagan's dreams.
Reagan Dreamgrass.
Reagan Dreamgrass. You made that in 2 seconds flat. Thank you, Humble Unity Bundle, for making literally my dreams come true. Okay, so the grass is really easy, and then you used the octave to start placing all of your trees and your rocks and everything else like that, because that's, wow.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. That was so simple.
Yeah.
That's much simpler than we started off and we were like, standard Unity pipeline, and I was like, oh no. This is just,
Yeah.
I don't
sounds
have
a little
confidence.
scary.
And now I'm like, oh, okay. This is making a lot of sense. And I really want to live in this world. That's crazy. It's so pretty. Okay, but I know you created 2 different scenes. So do you want to show us the second scene that you created?
Sure. Yeah, so this particular project is made in the Unity HD render pipeline.
Okay, so
I wanted to pick some I wanted to pick some assets that were more friendly to the HD render pipeline, because there's some in the bundle that are for universal, some for HD, some for standard, some that have some crossover. So I wanted to like have some variation in my 2 demo scenes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so I'm excited. Yeah. So the Unity HD render pipeline is different than the standard pipeline because I'm guessing HD.
Yeah, so HD render pipeline, generally speaking, is more targeted towards larger scale and higher fidelity games. And one of the things, like I said, that it boasts is the real-time ray tracing lighting graphics. So in the last scene, I showed off the art side, and while it's not my forte, I feel pretty good about it. Now this is more programming related, and you're gonna be like, oh, programming? Do people go to school for that? I went to school for that.
Do people really learn that?
Yeah, people really learn that. It's scary. So what we have here is we have like an actual playable game. We've got a movable character. Right now I'm using WASD to control the character. And I entered in the area. You could see the little pop-up said Mountain Village. And so I can enter the area again. Mountain Village. Whoa! It fades in, it fades out. And we've got this dude. He's moving around. He's got the little cloth. He's got the weapon. You can jump. You can attack. Cool. So I'm going to walk on in here. My computer's not the best, but we're trying here. This is a huge scene.
Yeah, it's so big. Is there a little enemy? We're coming for him.
Now, we see a dude over here. Now, I know that this is an enemy, but how are you supposed to know? So we're gonna go closer to the Mountain Village dude. We're like, how you doing, buddy? What's up?
My dude? Hello. Hello.
Now, he's got a sword. He's a little scary. Oh, this is Orc 1, and he's coming at me. Alright. Now, if I get close to him, he's like, Oh, he tried to attack me.
Rude. We were just
now, I'm gonna attack him. Boom. Oh, he tried to attack me. I did some damage. Now, we're gonna have a bit of an exchange here. Yeah, the health bars are updating when you hit them. Oh, he moved away when I swung this time.
Rude.
Now, I'm gonna run over this way to get some ground. I happen to have a button, which you can press to turn and face the enemy. So you don't have to worry about locking on. I've maybe one more hit. And he's down.
Hey! That's what you get.
And then his health bar goes away. Now, there's one more dude over here.
Oh, well, now we know you're not friendly.
Yeah, we're gonna beat him up.
You're not gonna get the jump on us twice.
We're gonna beat him up. Now, I know from playing the game, by that I mean making it, that if you hit them, they get locked up. So I'm gonna try to lock him up, but I happened to randomly have a longer hit there, so he got the best on me there.
Oh.
I have to be careful not to die here. I didn't make the enemy too difficult to fight, but I have actually died to them when testing them. So, that is a thing.
That's crazy.
There he goes.
Button mashing wins.
Hey.
Button mashing for the win.
And so now, I can just go around and explore this place. And there's a huge scene here. I'm not going to run around forever. This is the demo scene that comes with one of the assets in the bundle. And I just used it as a setting because I thought that the characters fit.
Yeah, okay, so this whole scene came in the bundle. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool.
It looks so good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like, I love all the little grass. I like the houses. I couldn't remember what a house was called. The houses. They're so cool.
Listen to this. All of the ground right here and the mountains off in the distance, Unity's terrain system.
And so you made, so the scene came with the bundle, and then you made the little, this sounds so stupid, you made the little people move.
Let's go piece by piece.
Okay.
So the first thing that I did was I got characters from the RPG Fantasy Pack that's part of the Unity bundle. I brought those characters into a little demo scene so I could start working with them. And the environment that I used came from a demo scene in the Medieval Environment Pack. So that's what you're seeing here is like the terrain, the grass, the trees, the houses are in the Medieval Environment Pack. And on the screen, the health bars and the text that came up on the screen from the GUI Pro Kit. Now, technically, I think that is geared more towards mobile games, but with game development, you can do whatever you want.
We do what we want. We make the rules. We literally make the rules here.
And the last thing that I used in this, and this is really important, I used a thing called Node Canvas, which comes in the Unity Humble Bundle.
Okay. What is Node Canvas?
So Node Canvas is one such option of node-based programming. So instead of like learning the language, like how to write out a for loop or like other programmer type things, you know, I'm not going to go into super details here.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know what a for loop is.
Exactly. So you don't have to. Like, you'll start to learn the concepts when using Node Canvas, but like this isn't something that you need to know going in order to like start typing, right? And node-based programming is becoming more used because of that. You don't need to be someone who knows the programming languages to do the actual node-based programming. So this is going to look a little intimidating at first. We can break it down super simply here. So I'll maximize this screen.
I was like, it's like the flowchart of my nightmare.
So there's a lot of stuff here, and it looks crazy, but I promise you, it's
okay.
actually super simple.
Okay.
So this is how we control the character. And we have an entry here, and this entry point is doing everything that comes down from it in parallel.
Okay, so it's
now,
like if this, then that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically, if I were to describe programming, I would just say if this, then that is the
so
approach for
I
everything.
did it. I summed up programming.
You're a programmer now,
I
Reagan.
summed it all up for you guys. You're welcome.
The most important things here, over here we have check all of the enemies, and then what the nodes do is they go from left to right. So in sequence, we check the enemy to see if the enemy's activated. If the enemy's activated, their HP bar is on the screen. So if that's the case, then we check the enemy's distance to the player, and if they are within a certain distance, then we see if they are closer than the other enemies. And then we say, okay, this one's the closest. And we use that for the closest enemy targeting that I have with tab. So if the player's not dead, not jumping, not hit, not attacking, you press tab. Then if there is a nearest enemy, you'll rotate towards the enemy. There are a ton of things that you need to keep track of. Like, unfortunately, the overbearing part when you're trying to make a game is, like, it gets big fast. Mm-hmm. And I think the good thing about Node Canvas is node-based programming allows you to see in space what you're dealing with, as opposed to having to scroll up and down through thousands of lines of code.
Yeah, also with this, it makes it really easy to visually conceptualize. I'm guessing, like,
yeah,
that is what it seems to me. Because with just all of the lines.
Yeah. So you have the lines telling you where to go, you know that it goes left to right, and from a glance, like both with the little pictures on the nodes and also with this little mini map right here, you have an idea of like where something is happening and like what's happening in there before you've even read it.
I'm like, I remember I had to make flowcharts for like English in like middle school. So
yeah, and so the thing with programming,
flowchart.
Yeah, and the thing with programming is like Unity has a whole set of like, here is how you would do this particular thing formally in like text-based code. With this, what Node Canvas does is they've done a really good job at making it very simple, like what is happening in plain English. So this node just literally says, if all of these are true, if you press space, if hit is false, and if dead is false, then in sequence, set the Y velocity to 5, jumping to true, play the jumping animation.
Okay, so if you hit the space button and you're not dead and you're not hitting someone, you can jump.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so like if I put like dead true, then if I couldn't do it, I could jump when I'm dead.
Yeah. So if dead were true, or if that check weren't there, then when the bear would fall over dead, then suddenly it would like stand up and do a jump.
Oh, okay. It's making sense. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I love a streamline.
Yeah, exactly.
A streamline is great. So that's crazy. So you just took one of the environments from the bundle, took a character model from the bundle, and then used the node canvas to make it all work, and created a mini little game scene that actually works and you can actually fight in.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild.
And so it's also really cool to note, the RPG Fantasy Pack characters, they all come with their own animations. So I'm going to show the animation window, because I didn't make those. So you can come in here with no ability to model, no ability to animate, no ability to program, no like art background, and you can no ability to make sound. There's actually a huge sound pack in the bundle, and it's really good.
Great, because I don't have any of these abilities.
Exactly. I just took 5 distinct animations from the pack, and if you send a variable to it, you determine if the character is walking forward, walking backward, walking, I'm going to go with right, and walking left. And you can use any variable, so you can walk like forward left, and if you're idling, you're idling. And all of that's just contained in one little thing. All I had to do was drag the animations in here and set some variables up. And that's how I make it walk.
I'm like, I feel like this is cheating.
It looks crazy. It looks like magic, but all I did was just sprinkle a little dust on it.
A little bit of pixie dust and you can fly, man.
Yeah.
For the scene that you created, you used, in the RPG Fantasy Pack, the character model, and then you used node canvas, and then you used the medieval environment house, and then the GUI Pro Kit.
Yeah.
What the heck?
And all those parts put together make this little RPG sample that
is
it's
so
like,
cool.
It's a prototype game.
I'm like, wow, you have dropped me into the intro tutorial for the next RPG that I'm playing. Man, this has just been so enlightening. I am so excited to see all of this stuff. Again, I thought that it was going to be like, I mean, I'm sure it is difficult, but I thought it was going to be so much more difficult, and it's really cool to just kind of see all of the things that are available in the bundle. So thank you again for taking your time and making these scenes for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you guys so much for having me. You know, one of the things right now is like with the assets and with game engines like Unity, they take a lot of the hard parts out of it. So while there is still like a technical aspect to it, it has a low barrier of entry where anyone could come in and start working on a game. So, I mean, I think it's really cool, and that's something that I want to show off and let people know. It's not that scary. It doesn't have to be that scary.
It doesn't need to be that scary.
Yeah.
Thank you guys also so much for watching. If you're interested in grabbing the Unity bundle, you can grab it now. We put a link in the description below. It is available through the end of September 2021. So make sure to go grab it, and then let us know what your favorite part in the comments was. Thanks for watching. Bye!